outline that they even gave me. They made up a whole prospectus. What to do about the Fillmore on Geary and Fillmore Street. Said here, Sunday gospel dance and black politics. Monday dance, drama, education. Tuesday electrical R&B dance concert. Wednesday's dance drama workshop. Thursday dance drama showcase. Friday R&B dance concert. Saturday jazz, black jazz. I'm saying, show and sing. The problem is, if you stand, if you stand and you say,
No.
Yeah.
Oh no, I wasn't. Financially, your ballrooms are probably the most successful in the country. Follow that you must be a financial success too. Now, money's not usually associated with the rock world. How does this affect your relationships with those people?
Gets me into a lot of trouble. And we have the place is clean. The productions that we go into, the special work that we do for the groups to enhance the overall concept, it's rather expensive. We don't have one sound man, we have 3 sound men. We don't have one little girl in the office. It's followed through. We have things are continued that was started some years ago to start this whole thing that are still continued, and it's not for the monetary reason. And as business associates that I had before I came to work here, when I worked for regular industrial firms, said, Bill, you started this years ago, giving away posters. At the end of the dance, we give them away free. In the store, you would have to pay $1, but he will give them to you for next week's dance, which advertises our next function. We also give away the apples in the lobby. And they would say, well, Bill, years ago you'd started. Now that you're successful, you don't have to do that anymore. But that's like in a good restaurant, taking off the greenery off the plate. The people are going to come. Why? And things don't have to be so clean. Well, why not? We're making a very good dollar, so instead of netting X, I'll net X minus 300, whatever. We still make very good money. But if we didn't make very good money, then we couldn't also assume the losses we do incur sometimes when we bring in something that we know isn't going to make money, but we want to present it to the public. And sometimes we'll bring in and I'll act like the Staple Singers, for example. The first time they came in, first of all, it took me 2 years to convince Pops to play. He says, oh, I don't know, those white audiences, they're not going to dig our gospel music. And not until the place had a reputation did he think that, well, I should play there because then, it'll be good for us also. And they make a good dollar, the Staple Singers. At that time, they weren't worth draw-wise, because the dollar is based on the draw power. They wanted the price that they would get in a normal gospel church concert. I gave them that price, even though I knew that they wouldn't draw that relative, in ratio. If we didn't make profits somewhere along the line, we couldn't do that. We couldn't have, once we show thanks to the city, which is, if I say again to you that, boy, we're just nice people. And only that, I'm lying.
The so-called hip community still criticize you for making money off of what they call their music?
I would say yes. But the criticism is less and less, but the criticism is still there. Because I think what's happened over the years, it's just all coming full cycle now. But it's there.
Okay, we'll both agree that Fillmore East and West are top ballrooms in the country, I'm sure. So from there, what do you do now? What do you do next?
Good question. We're far from having these 2 places running as well as we would like to. It's on our floor here at the Fillmore. We're putting up 2, at the ends of the dance floor, we're putting up 2 professional basketball boards and hoops, regulation. And we want to involve the community, and we're going to challenge other nightclubs, other ballrooms. We're going to challenge the rock and roll bands, because we're not just hippies, we're not just rock and roll operators. I dig playing ball. I never get a chance to play ball anymore. And then I want to knock heads with some of these people. I like some of them, I don't like some of them. A lot of them have grievances against me. Okay, instead of yelling and screaming at each other, let's do it out there. That to me is a major project,
I'll have to cut you there.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on. AC 21, 22, March. I don't want to take a rain check. I don't want to install you. I got to wait until I get to New York on Monday. Now, I'll call you on Monday in New York. What is your number there? Yeah. Okay, on Monday, I give you my word, I'll call you.
In the world of rock music, you're known as the king producer. How do you think you got this title?
First of all, I don't like it. I don't like the implication of king. I think as far as the reputation that the organization has gotten, our family thing is, I think we put on good shows and change the musical taste of the people who come here. And if that reputation has been enlarged, that's good. More people are listening to less bad music.
There's a lot of people that put on good shows, but they don't draw crowds. There must be something different about what goes on here at Fillmore West.
Hopefully, we're talking about credit and what we've done. Hopefully it's because we present good entertainment within the framework of an environment which is not which wasn't the norm until scene and articles about life in general, the news of the day, posters and the artwork on the walls, the light show, of course, the barrel of apples in the lobby. These aren't gimmicks, but it's like, what was it? There was a program on TV, calculated to keep you in suspense years ago. This is calculated to hopefully uninhibit the inhibited in San Francisco and to operate in San Francisco. Somehow or other, people here are, I'm a New Yorker, quite different than San Francisco.
People talked about doing. You brought all kinds of groups and all kinds of elements together so that people end up having a good time. Did you work at this, or were you just lucky and it just happened here in San Francisco?
I think it's a combination. The city, part of what we're happy about, besides just the success of the ballroom and the relationship we have with the community and the kids that come in, the bands and the managers and the agents and whatnot, is to have had the opportunity to bring in talent to the people who come here, which was never presented to.
You started here, at least in music, in the black community. You've been involved with black musicians and so on. What's your relationship been to black militants and the black community that you just came from?
Rather touchy subject. We use the Fillmore Auditorium in the Fillmore district, a predominantly black community, for many years, and then we began to have street problems there, heavy street problems, because of the Martin Luther King assassination and the Kennedy assassination. There wasn't any trouble there with the black militants in the streets. The 14 to 16 or 17 youth of that area somehow began to retaliate for the death of the one white man they believed in nationally, Kennedy, and Martin Luther King's death. And it got to be very, very difficult. What I was disappointed in, that I then went to some members of the black community and asked for some help. And we had our problems, and things got worse and worse and worse. And we had done some benefits for a couple of years ago, Stokely Carmichael, and when Eldridge was in trouble, the early part of his problems, we did some benefits with him and Kathleen, did some benefits with the Black Panthers, just to help them set up a proper administration, not to buy guns or ammunition. Then when we needed help, we did not ask. We asked for help from them. Didn't get any cooperation. Did some benefits in New York with the Black Panther organization also. I'm sorry to say that I disagree with their mode of operation. I disagree with, I think any human being basically disagrees with violence. I think they have the rights that I have. I don't want to get into, do I think they're my equal? That's a ridiculous thing to even get into. I do not agree with militant action by anyone. As for the black community, when we left there, certain members of that community said, Mr. Graham, you've made your living here, you made a lot of money, you're moving downtown now, would you help us set up a black community theater of some sort? And I said, yes, what do you want from me? They said, well, can you help us administratively, financially, and so on? I said, I'd love to. Make a long story short, there was a body of people that, I even have their brochure here, prospectus. Is this what we want to do on Monday night gospel singing, Tuesday night black history, Thursday night soul dancing, Friday night so and so and so and so? I said, that's fine. Which way do you want me to help? So can you help us get the acts and set up the administration? Then some members of the black community said, well, it should be all black. It should be administered entirely by the black. That's up to you. Said, what do you want from me? He says, can you pay the rent? I said, well, if I pay the rent, I should know how you're going to spend this money. They said, no, well, man, where are you at? Either do it that way. I said, I think that's wrong. But I'll let you, I'll let you think your own way. Make a long story short, for 5 months, for 4 or 5 months, I paid the rent there, all the rent, from July through October, something like that. And I'm sorry to say that in that length of time, I think they ran 2 benefits for the Panthers. And I finally said, it's not that I can't do without the money. If I said to you, I'm going broke because I'm supporting you, I'm lying. But, you know, I pour water on a seed and I don't see any flower. Something's wrong somewhere. And make a long story short, as I said, I'm not going to support you anymore. Now there are some other people in there who are making attempts. But it's so easy to say community and let's do.
Just as a friend, but
Other places have been run and have been started in other communities and this community by, quote, love people, quote, love children. We want to do our thing, man. Well, if you refuse to accept the fact that you're dealing in a society which is based on black and white and green and red and dollars and cents and time clocks and time and motion and whatnot, and there are certain standards of operation that it's a business that you're running, you're going to get into trouble. We run a business. Within the business structure, we do our thing. You can't not do it with thoughts of excluding the straight man, the shirt and tie world. You can't, because when you want to put an ad in the paper, you go to the straight man. When you want to get a permit, you go to the straight man. You go to the man downtown. You know, you can be a great producer if you're going to make a film and you don't have the right actress. That film isn't going to come off. If there wasn't a B.B. King or a Chuck Berry or Cannonball Adderley or some of the rock groups, you know, what would we be? Yeah. 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 Well, I'm on my way back to New York. I'll be in New York on Monday. I've got to look at my schedule back there. The problem now is I got 93 tentatives on all different groups from England and whatnot that I just signed. And I can't... was to say to you that I don't live better, or I don't have a better income, or that my family isn't provided for better now than it was. I'd be lying to you. We do very well. I think if we didn't do as well as we do, we wouldn't be able to spend the money we do to improve our mode of operation. We don't just run dance. I don't think we're in the ballroom business only. We're in the business of changing the taste of the public, introducing different types of acts, creating an environment. We don't just put an act on the stage and put on the lights and, you know, 4 walls and a sound system. We're very much concerned with what happens to Joe and Jane Date when they come in here. You know, what happens to them, not just in relation to the talent on the stage, in relationship to the place and to the other people here. And if you walk into the lobby here and you're worried about people watching you, you might just, you know, pick up an apple and start munching on it. Well, this is usually a private thing. So subconsciously, you're dropping your inhibitions, which will make it more conducive for you to listen freely and be affected, and you affect others freely, and hopefully you'll see that people aren't looking at you or gaping at you. You come here with a shirt and tie, and people won't, you know, stare at you as they might in some other places or put you down for it. So that after a short time, you should be relaxed and become involved, and hopefully you'll begin moving a little bit, or you'll dig the light show or the sound, or you'll start a conversation with someone. And I think the other key, other than the talent or the environment, is that we're very, very fortunate. I'm not doing a commercial for the Chamber of Commerce of San Francisco. People are generally very nice here, and when they shake your hand, they don't say, you know, what's in it for me? They just shake your hand. It's the closest thing to, except for New Orleans, I think, to the European thing, when there's a joie, there's a certain esprit, which doesn't exist in the other cities, which New York, Chicago, Detroit, where everything is pretty nailsy, you know, tar. I think the primary reason for that is that the people who come here, from the very beginning, the primary reason to me seemed to have always been, we're here to have a good time, not to rumble, not to make out. Sure, a boy wants to meet girl, vice versa. But they come here with the primary purpose of enjoying themselves, which is not the primary purpose in some other establishments, in some other towns. You know, I went to dances all my life in New York. I'm a Latin music freak. And after a couple of hours, you know, the Polish crowd was in one corner and the Latin crowd in another corner. And, you know, we'd flex our muscles and we'd wear our club jackets, and it was, you know, it was a wall there. And the good dancers danced in that corner and the beginners in the other corner, and you wouldn't dare step into certain parts of the thing, you know. And you locked the bathroom to take a little swig, and it was all, it's a little different out here. And that's what makes the whole thing function. That's what makes the whole thing possible. Because if you have an audience that sits like they do, you know, like the Broadway crowd, the 890 orchestra's seat holder. All right, show me. And here they, you know, all right, you know, do your thing. You know, B.B. King played the joints for years, or Otis Redding was a black R&B singer who played the southern route. And what rock and roll, or the popularity of rock and roll, has afforded us is the opportunity to use good rock and roll as bait to bring the people in, but once they got here, to present them with you know, some of the people who, were it not for them, there wouldn't be any rock and roll.
It's almost impossible to describe the feeling of being in a rock dance, and maybe that's why so many young people flock here every weekend to see what Bill Graham and Fillmore West is all about. Belva Davis, for Eyewitness News, San Francisco.